scientist from Intensive Engagement, and in this short film I'm going to answer the question, what is intensive engagement? Intensive engagement is a framework. It's a consistent and repeatable framework, one that you can use again and again in lots of different locations, and it's a process. It allows us to engage effectively with a given community of people, to understand the challenges that they face, allows us to recruit capable stakeholders to help out with the process so we don't do it all ourselves, allows us to design and implement interventions to tackle the problems that are unique to that particular location, and allows us to create a framework to judge the success of that process. So it's a consistent and repeatable process and framework that allows us to design different solutions, interventions for different locations, respecting the uniqueness of each of the areas that we work. So intensive engagement is really made up of 8 steps in that process. They appear one after the other, but we keep going back to each of these stages, refreshing them as we work through. The first thing is to justify why we should put intensive effort into community engagement in a particular location. We can't do it everywhere, so what we want to do is to choose the right places that are most likely to have the most effect. In the second step, we then identify the assets and capabilities in the location. Rather than assuming that everything is awful in a place, we try and look for all the great stuff that's going on already and the great people. We then recruit and identify stakeholders and bring them together into a network. Stakeholders are all people that have a stake in the problems and in the neighbourhood that we are considering. We want to bring them together, even if they may not have already been working together. And at that point, we use a technique, which I'll come to in another film, that allows us to understand from lots of different perspectives of our stakeholders what is actually going on in this location. And from that, we're able to form a working group that are able to progress forward to identify what the world would look like, or this particular location would look like, when all the challenges and issues have been tackled one way or the other. And that gives us a vision of what could be possible in the future. And then in step 7, we design unique and bespoke interventions, solutions, projects, whatever you wish to call them, that are going to happen in that area, and who's going to deliver on them across different organizations and individuals, and a framework for evaluation. And the final step, although it's not the final step, it's one that goes on all the way through, is we consider who else needs to help us, who do we need to escalate parts of the issues to, and what is our exit strategy. So to recap, intensive engagement is a consistent and repeatable framework. It's something that we can do again and again in lots of different locations, but allow each location to understand its own problems in its own way, and then design a package of interventions that are unique and bespoke to that particular location or that particular community. It gets the community involved in designing their solutions and interventions, and allows public sector organisations to catalyse and support the community to get on with the delivering of that outcome.